Welcome back. Now, over its 12-year lifespan, Corruption Watch has received nearly 47,000 complaints of alleged corruption. 30 years into democracy, the body's 2023 annual report titled Changing the Landscape finds that most corruption complaints are tied to mining and policing, while identifying Gauteng, KZN and the Western Cape as hotspots for corrupt activities. Karam Singh, Executive Director of Corruption Watch, joins us to unpack the report in greater detail and what it suggests about corruption in the country. Thank you so much for your time, Karam. Now, Corruption Watch's 12th annual report. Talk to us about the landscape that makes this one different from the other reports.
Well, thanks. Thank you so much for having me on the program. I think the report seeks to capture our work from the year in review. It was a very busy year on the anti-corruption front. As we know, we have some distance now from the State Capture Commission, but we still have a lot of issues on the table that we've been advocating for, that we've been working on. Issues like an enhanced whistleblower protection system, reform of the public procurement system, and then, reform of the criminal justice system to ensure that we see accountability for all of the corruption allegations and scandals that we see in the public domain. I mean, it's significant as we release this annual report that we have the parliament and her arraignment.
Oh, Karam, I think your sound keeps on disappearing there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there we go. We have you back. Yes, we have you back.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah. No, I was just talking about the significance of the arrest of the speaker in this moment where we're talking about, where we are in the fight against corruption. So I think it'll be a big issue going into the elections as well.
Yeah. Well, overall, Karam, do you think that in terms of your fight against corruption, that you're still swimming against the tide broadly, or that the tide is working with you, or maybe certain pockets of the tide are working with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that I would frame it is, what is the trajectory that we're on as a country? What's the democratic trajectory? Where are we going in the fight against corruption? Are we escalating the fight against corruption? Do we feel like we winning the fight against corruption? Or are we in a situation where we think that it's getting worse and where the challenges may be even greater? And I fear at this moment that we're not in a good trajectory, that it was significant that we had the Zondo Commission, that we have a set of findings and recommendations which can protect us from a state capture situation again. But we've seen massive corruption scandals since then. We've seen a governing party which is really battling internally in terms of, different elements. Some that would seem to want to have a more aggressive fight against corruption, and another which is much more tolerant. So yeah, in some ways it feels like it's one step forward and two steps back, that we are swimming upstream at times, particularly when it comes to issues like whistleblower protection and support.
Well, yeah, let's actually talk about that, because how willing are people in terms of coming up and reporting corruption, or is it a case where a Corruption Watch finds itself having to actually be proactive in unearthing that information?
Oh, it's definitely a combination of both. We've consistently, the Corruption Watch has been around for 12 years. Consistently, we have received complaints of corruption from communities. But there's no doubt about it that it's dangerous, and that it's not safe for whistleblowers. And while Corruption Watch can guard people's anonymity, while we can try to assist to get investigations underway or help people with legal support, it's still extremely dangerous if people blow the whistle within organizations. They find themselves being victimized, and in extreme cases, we see that people's physical safety is really under threat as well. You talk about unearthing corruption, we have a really vigorous group of investigative journalists in South Africa. They really aid our democracy, and where possible, we try to work with them. And at times we'll even submit letters or dossiers to law enforcement on the basis of information which comes out from from civil society and from journalism. So there has to be that element, because corruption hides in dark corners, and corrupt deals happen in a way which is often very difficult to unveil.
Yeah, well, talking about corruption that hides in dark corners, just give us more detail on where corruption is most prevalent and where you maybe feel like there needs more resourcing, more than what Corruption Watch is able to provide, that it goes beyond, just Corruption Watch, where it involves everybody coming in and, shining a light on those dark corners.
Well, I think one of the big areas is the South African Police Service. There's no doubt about it. We have developed a digital tool called the VESA tool, which is a website that allows communities to go and basically rate their police station, or seek information around the how resources go to the police, and to submit complaints. This has not been an area that the past administration has given sufficient focus to, in terms of coming back to the South African public to say, we're fixing the police. We understand that the police is a problem. We understand that there's shakedowns. We understand that there's a complicity with organized crime. There hasn't been that reckoning. So I think that's really an area that's going to have to be a significant place of focus. And then further, I think, when it comes to an elite a police force to fight corruption, we need a dedicated anti-corruption agency that can from prevention all the way through to prosecution, can have a very strong role in coordinating government's fight against corruption. And we haven't had anything close to that since the dissolution of the Scorpions, and we note the addition of the independent directorate at the MPA as a potential step in the right direction.
All right. Well, yeah, it is quite interesting to see that there are some pockets of light, but also really still a long and bumpy road to go in terms of fighting corruption completely. Thank you so much for your time, Karam. That was Karam Singh, Executive Director of Corruption Watch.